ladies. Welcome to Scarlet Letter. I'm super excited to study it with you. As you are reading, continue to mark in your commentaries when you're reading and annotating everything you see about the community and the individual. The same elements you marked in the Crucible, we continue to look for in the Scarlet Letter. Continue to look for them also in the Emerson and the Thoreau. So we come to Nathaniel Hawthorne, who was born in Salem. His great-grandfather was actually sitting on the panel at the Salem witch trials. So he spent his whole life very, very wound up about the fact that his last name was Hawthorne and his family was involved in the trials. He was a kind of individual, very alone guy. There's a picture of him. Not bad looking. He once told his mother, as you can see, that he thought authors were poor devils. So obviously we have a very tormented writer here. He's married to Sophia Peabody. So when we look at themes, let's look at these themes as they connect to the individual and the community. Remember, you need to be annotating and looking for the fact that humans need warm relationships. That's what a community does. We join a community because we seek to be with other people. The other important part of a community is that we respect the members within it. So as you're reading, you're going to see characters who refuse to respect the sanctity of the individual. Kind of very, very frightening thing. People who want to know other people's secrets, they are dangerous people. And we're going to study the nature of sin when you read the book. So you should be annotating for what is sin and realizing that the sins we commit, whether they were in the Salem witch trials or now, they have long-lasting effects. And the last one I want you to pay close attention to, and this is an interesting idea, is the mind is less trustworthy than the heart. We want to believe that our mind can always do everything just right, and so we sublimate or get rid of our instincts. So that's what that line means. Pay attention to your instincts. When you read the book, he likes to look at what's going on inside of people. So you're going to be reading and you're going to learn about people and what makes them tick. Pay careful attention to that. He's going to write about internal confusion and anguish. Our characters are going to suffer, suffer, suffer. So look for that when you're annotating. Look for symbols of suffering and anguish. Look for allegory. Remember, one big, long metaphor. And look for a restricted narrator. It's going to be a really tightly written story. You're going to feel Hawthorne actually writing the story and speaking to us. Here is a really important piece of information. The novel has 3 scaffold scenes. A scaffold is the pillory. It is this raised deck in the middle of Boston. Our novel is going to start. So at the beginning of the novel, we have the sinner, Hester Prynne, on the scaffold. Then we're going to have the climax of the novel on the scaffold and the resolution of the novel on the scaffold. As I've told you before, in literature, the number 3 is really important because it's always that holy trinity that we get, a very biblical number. But in the novel as well, the scaffold means that things are very, very public. So I need you to pay careful attention to scaffold scenes. So as we continue, I want you to ask yourself at each scaffold scene, what is being revealed? And then I want you to move to sin in the Scarlet Letter. When you're with sin in the Scarlet Letter, I want you to consider the different kinds of sins. You need to be annotating for sins of hate versus sins of love. You need to talk about and look for annotations for the sin of the invasion of the sanctity of the human heart. And what I mean by that, and this is really, really important, it is a sin to want to know someone else's secrets. You should be annotating and paying attention for those moments when you come in contact with someone getting a knife and digging around in someone's personal life. Annotate for that because that is a massive sin. It's where the heart of gossip comes from. You want to talk about the sin of the effect of sin on the mind and the spirit. Do we get to still be beautiful and sinners? Or do our sins make us uglier and more wretched? Can the community see our sins? Think about John Proctor. He was hiding his sin and what happened when he brought it forth. And then I want you to remember that the color scarlet means red, thus this PowerPoint is red, and it comes to stand for adultery. But not just the sin of adultery, but scarlet comes to stand for that sin that's all men. So look for and annotate anytime you see that color red used in the novel. So we return now to our main characters. Here you meet Hester Prynne, recognized as one of American literature's most resilient women. The guys in MUS do not like this book. She's tough, and you're going to learn about her toughness, and we're going to talk a lot about her toughness, like why we should admire this woman who is going to raise a baby on her own in the middle of Boston. Take some courage. Her daughter's name is Pearl. That name's very important, and I want to be able to figure out why her name would be Pearl. You're going to meet our main character men. We have Reverend Dimsdale right here, and he is our Reverend of Boston. We know how much reverends are supposed to be respected in Boston, his public view and his private pain. And then we're going to meet Chillingworth, Hester's husband, who is blinded by revenge, and you're going to have to find out why. So the question is, we're going to play a game. And this is about understanding what people hide inside and on the outside. So here we go. These are labels we see, because you know, in this world, we like to label people. When we see Britney Spears, we often label her as easy, this out of control, party girl, bad mom. When we see Paris Hilton, we also put a label on her. Party girl making really sketchy, bad choices. So those are easy labels. Let's get more complicated. Well, you see Mel Gibson. Many of you don't know who he is, but he was like the most popular actor for a really long time. But in reality, he has now become an alcoholic that people didn't know that's what he was. And he's become a bit fanatical in his approach. He's constantly known for being really over the top. He was hiding these labels. Think all of the time, labels we see on the outside and the labels and things that people hide inside. And be on the lookout for this in the novel. There are labels we assume, but are we ever wrong? We see the Harvard scholar. Wow, he must be really talented. Well, what if he is a cheater? What if he has lied and stolen to people? Do we give people more credibility just because they went to an Ivy League school? What about when we see this beautiful, perfect family? Oh, wow, look how wonderful they are. Well, what if he's stealing money to pay for the debt? What if she lied to get her daughter into the best school? We don't know, because people can take their exterior and hide things. When you read Macbeth next year, a false face can hide what a false heart can know. Then there are the labels we can't see at all. What if there's an award-winning teacher who ends up being accused of being a sex offender? Do people hide their sins where others can't see them? And we know that's yes. So as you're reading the book, think. How do we label people? How do communities label people? And what effect does this have on us? How do we stop it from happening? How do we suffer and help those whom we have very, very falsely labeled? So that's your intro to the Scarlet Letter. I hope you enjoy it as much as I love teaching it. So annotate your book for sin, the labels we hide, and let's get started. And I want you to practice on chapter 1. Good luck.